So welcome back. You may think we have seen this one before. We very briefly saw it in the Olivetti M290 episode. This is the M300. So we should probably also dig into this one. As you can see from the outside, it's the same casing, completely the same, and it has the same casing number XP1338 as the 290. But this is supposed to be a Intel 386 SX, also on a computer board, not the board, sorry, on a computer card. So let's see if we can dig into it and first briefly have a twirl around it, because we need to see what we are dealing with, right? With this computer, I got the installation and operation guide. I had a brief look inside it, and I just want to highlight one thing in the manual, if I can locate it. Give me just a brief second. This is regarding operating system. The starter kit, that's the diskettes that you are getting with the computer, does not include operating system. It starts telling you. Then it tells you what operating system you can buy. So you can have DOS 3.3 or 4, you could have OS 2, 1.0 or 1.1, and then you can also have Unix, the 386 version. You could have Windows 2.0, Windows 386, and Microsoft's Xenix, which also is a Unix. So this one and that one, more or less the same thing. Cute. That's kind of like what I want to say. It also came with one disk. Sadly, this is not the boot disk, so I need to see if I can locate the boot disk with the BIOS settings on it, so we can get into the BIOS of this computer. This is the OEMM disk. That is just the memory management for this computer. That's that. So in the front, the lovely logo over here, Olivetti Personal Computer M300. We have a key lock. I don't have the key. We have an icon up here, or pictogram, that tells you that this is supposed to be an 1.44 megabyte 3.5-inch floppy disk drive. This is the emblem for, or pictogram for, the key. There is nothing there, so maybe it doesn't hold a hard disk. I'm pretty sure it does. It's heavy. We have the typical grill. We have all the pictograms over here, one for loudspeaker, one for hard disk activities, the reset button, the on and off light, and the power on, power off. Feels a little bit weird. The casing has been shifted a little bit. I can see it's like it's a little bit pulled out because there's a gap in here. It's not filthy as such, it's just a little bit smudgy, and there are no big scratches on it on neither of the sides. So it looks actually fairly okay. But in the back, I see that it's down here. Oh, and this is broken. It's dirty down here, but that's fine, it's okay. So it's the typical power supply up here. I must assume this is the fan for the power supply. This is power in, power out, for instance, for a monitor. And over here we have the model number for the casing as such, which was XP1338. There is a thing there and another thing there. On the M290, this was broken, but this is not for the keyboard. We figured out that the keyboard was on the card itself. So, and that was for the old school Olivetti keyboard connector. I will assume, I haven't opened it up yet, there's loads of cards. We have 8 slots. There are loads of cards, and this one has PS2. So I will assume this would be a PS2 keyboard and PS2 mouse. And this is probably a parallel. This looks like VGA. This looks like a coax network card. Those two, no idea. Somewhere in there should be a hard disk and floppy disk controller. We'll see. So the deal was, or is, I need to unscrew this screw. There are 4 screws on the button where the feet are. These needs to be screwed out. Once that's done, I can take this plate off and I can move this casing which surrounds the computer all over. I can swirl this way and then we should see the computer. So let me try to see if we can get into this one. I put out the screws, I took out the screws, and I'm struggling. I'm really struggling. This is broken, but it still hold on to this top up here. I can't get the casing off. Seriously, I can't get it off. It's supposed to just be pushed this way. And I'm afraid this one is super rusty. You probably can't see it on the camera right now, but if I move this a little bit out and looking inside, I see a lot of rust. So if the whole casing is like completely rusted, the plastic cover on side of it, due to the fact that the rust is now clinging to the casing, let's say that, I can't get it off. So I need to seriously brute force myself into this one. I feel really bad having to do this, but there's no way for me to get in. So let me try and see if I can somehow, without damaging the casing too much, get into this and very slowly just see if I can get the casing off. There's no need for you, I think it's coming now. There's no need for you to see me almost destroying the computer. I feel so bad that I have to do this, but it seems to be the only way. It slowly comes out. So let me just finish this very slowly and then come back to you, right? I managed. Wow. This is the inside. I see a little bit rust ripping off this one, so but nevertheless, I don't know what to say. It's not rusty in this area, but there's rust here, and there's rust all the way down there. I don't see any rust up here, but in the front, oh man, loads of rust all over this area, over here, down here, a little bit down there. There's some rust on the top shielding. There are 2 screws here and 1 screw here, which we figured out. This is actually the screw that also holds in the CPU card. If we look at the back, I have no hopes for this computer, sadly. You can see this is the power supply, completely rusted, but the fan is swirling around, so that's fine, and it's rusted. Everything is rusted. So I think this is going to be a long episode where we need to dig into this computer and see how bad it actually is. Let me start by taking off the shielding on the top. We need to remember in slot number 3, that's the CPU. Okay. Also rusty here. So definitely into this glass blaster. And this gives us access to the computer inside. Yeah, power supply, obviously. I see the hard disk, a floppy disk drive. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. Yeah, I think there's only one thing to do. Let's strip it apart. Let me rip out all the cards. We can go through the cards after that. I will unscrew these 4 screws in the front, which will take the disk bay out. On the side, I will unscrew those 4 screws, which will then take out the hard disk that we have over here. The power supply, that is 4 screws in the back that needs to come out. And once I've done all that, there should be 6 screws on the button plane, the passive button plane that holds where all the cards are put into. I will also rip that out. And then we should have more or less the computer ready for this glass blaster. So let me start by doing all of this. Well, everything is out. As you can see, the table is flooded with stuff. This is very dirty and this is really rusty. So let's keep up the good faith and hope for the best that the computer is still working. So what is the plan? Well, the plan is we need to fix it right. And I think I need to wash this first. No, hold on. I will dust this off with some good air. Then I'll take you to with me to the glass blaster, so we can treat this, give this a full good treatment. I will have to open up this, which is an AT power supply. Just want to mention this is the real thing. The reason I'm saying the real thing is due to that the other one, the M290, that power supply was not an AT. This is an AT power supply. So that's nice. Although, if I look at the board, it seems to be the same board. So I could actually be wrong. And I seem to think that this is the same settings for power. So I'm a little bit confused. I will aim for that this is AT power supply. I'm not sure, but I think it is. And if that's an AT power supply, this board is the same as we had in the Olivetti M219. That means I need to make a correction in that episode where I really stated that this is not an AT power supply, it's an Olivetti proprietary. So we will have to investigate. So in the case of I have misled people, I need to make correction for that. This thing came with this dirty thing. That's the front thing. And it goes there. When I looked at it, that piece was out, but it needs to go in on place number 4 over there. So we'll fix that. I located this one in there, and well, sorry. Come on, this is not funny. There we go. So, sorry for my very dirty fingers. This is the GO481. This is from 819. GO481. I know that's the graphics card. So this one belongs to this one. I will glue it together with this one. This one is then a VGA. Yes. So this one is the VGA graphics card for this computer. In the 219, it was a CGA or EGA card. This also, besides VGA, holds the Olivetti high resolution 640 by 400 pixels. It holds that also. So it's a special Paradise card. We'll come back to that one. The floppy disk drive, the casing, I haven't taken the drive out. I need to take that one out also, so we can take the casing with us to the glass blaster. And it's rusty all over. It's just all over. If I show you the inside, that's all over the place. But I'll take that one off, and we can then take this to the glass blaster. There is some foam down there. This is not disintegrating at all, but I will just take it off anyway. And that leaves us with a hard disk. I'll take the screws out. There we go. So what do we have here? Let me put it down there. So this seems to be a corner. I have difficulty seeing CP30. I think it's 4.6, right? No idea the size. And here we have a CP3046. We'll figure that out later. And hopefully there's some stuff on it. It's working. Let me just find the other screw that belongs to this hard disk. I will go through all the cards better. This is the IDE hard disk and floppy disk controller that was in. That was the graphics card. This one seems to be a serial or parallel controller card. We'll have to dig into that one. This is our beautiful computer that we have on a card. Here we have the Intel 8386 SX, and we'll have a talk about this later. And then we had this network Ethernet coax card. Can't use it, so I won't put it back in. This one is one of the very special ones, because this is the CPU card with memory and everything that needs to be, keyboard controller and memory controller and so on and so forth. This is a computer. This is a computer too. So we actually have two computers in it, but it's a network card. The reason it's a computer is of this tiny baby. I think everybody knows this Motorola chip. We have seen this card before on another episode. So it's Geo527A. But there we go. So I think the deal is, let me prepare this. Let's rip out the power supply and see if there's any rust, and then we'll take the casing with us. We'll take this out and take that casing with us, and then we will go to the glass blaster. So we are ready to go to the glass blaster. I ripped out everything that I needed. The floppy disk controller is very dirty. This is the power supply. I had to rip it out. That was a huge struggle. That is the most annoying thing I ever been working with, getting this power supply out of the casing. But nevertheless, it's actually not rusted. This is just very, very filthy. I don't know what it is, but I'm not putting it into the glass blaster, because then I also need to take off the fan and all these. This I can use some sandpaper and fix it, and I can clean everything inside. The power supply is very dirty. So no hopes for this one, but you know, keep up the faith. Okay, cool. So let's go to the glass blaster and fix this. Well, that was fun, but everything went well in the glass blaster. Everything is nice. I have also, as you saw, coated it, so the rust shouldn't come back. Everything has been scrubbed and washed and cleaned, so we should be able to start assembling everything back. And just look at how pretty the power supply is all of a sudden. That was filthy, right? But there we go. Just a short thing about the power supply. Just want to mention, let me zoom in here, that this can be set to 230 or 115 volts. So if you're in the States, for instance, you can just bridge this one to that one, and then the power supply will be working over there also. That needs to be assembled back into that. I won't show you me doing that. That's gonna be a struggle, so I'll just fix it so we can test the power supply. All the boards have been cleaned. They are very nice. It wasn't that bad with the dust on them, but a little bit. But it's all nice. It's all good. I just need to remember to put the label on the graphics card, the VGA card, so I'll do that. Just heads up, I'm not going to install this, which is the coax network card. There's no need for me to put it in. Maybe I'll decide putting it in anyway, but I cannot use it. And this serial port, I'm not sure that I'm gonna put that one in either, but we'll see. We'll see, because there's an interface on this is called a multifunction card. This is for floppy disk and hard disk controller. That also gives you a serial port, as there is a parallel port on the processor card. I shall obviously also take a dump of the BIOS on that one, so we can have that on archive.org. And the same for the graphics card. I will also put that on archive.org. I think the thing that I am most afraid of is the 3.5-inch floppy disk drive. This was, for weird reasons, super dirty and filthy and full of rust, and there's even still rust on this plate. Let me take this one off. This has no usage, so it doesn't matter, but there's still rust. You can see the screw is very rusty. It's welded in here and over there, so I cannot just take it off like that so easy. But if I manage to find a screw, I don't think I have one though, I will change the screw over there. But besides that, let's hope for the best for this one. Let's hope for the best for our corner hard disk, and that there's any information on. Could be nice. This is the for the back of this, so that hooks in like this, gets the power. So this basically converts this old style into new style. But yeah, could just have had a real connector cable, but they didn't do that on this model. So let me, oh well, missing this one. I fixed the cable that was thrown out, broken here, so that should also be working now. I gave the potentiometer here a little bit of juice, so it's now very nice. And I will now assemble as much as I can back, and then we're gonna test stuff. And maybe I should just briefly talk about the power supply before I assemble it back. We were talking about that, I think, on the previous video about the M290, that I said that the power supply there wasn't an AT power supply. Tested it. It's the same motherboard, or this is not a motherboard, sorry, the same board here that adapter power supply is hooked into. So with all of this, so it's the same thing. So therefore the power supply must be the same. And I have validated, because on, I'm not sure it's easy to see, but on the actual power supply you can see all the coloring for the cable, and it is AT power supply. So just to clarify that, this is AT, therefore the other one, even though the colors were crazy on the 290, this is the right way to color the cables for it. Sorry, I'm gambling around, but there we go. So obviously red is 5 volts, and the black in the middle that's ground. The blue one, that's the -5 volts, and then we have orange over there, which is 12 volt, and gray is -12. So let me, let's see, hold on a second, there's a white one too. Let me just focus, and this says power OK or POK, it's this one. So there we go, AT power supply. And now we're definitely gonna assemble everything. I'm not gonna lie, as you may saw, it is a struggle to get in and out, and to be honest, I screwed up because this was broken, so I had to open everything up again. I didn't film that and fix that one. It was just a spring that wasn't working, so that's all good now. Just want to get the M290 out of the way. I took out the power supply, and briefly the 290 is spread apart over there. So I took out the power supply from that one, and I thought this is an AT power supply. Once and for all, it is. So what I said in that video isn't right, and I just wanted to test that I am correct. So let's put the cables in. Oh, while we're here, hold on a second. Let me just show you. Maybe you can see. So this is the AT power supply, and as you can see, this is the coloring, and this is the other one. This is why I went crazy and got confused. The coloring are super weird, okay? So let's take this one away, and let's try and hook this one up into this. Like that. I want some load, just to be sure. Shouldn't be a problem at all, but let's just do it anyway. Let's take some of the cards away. I have a post card. It's probably not gonna post anyway, but it should give me the voltage on the rails. So remember rear, which is this way, so it needs to go like that. And nothing should actually work without the CPU card. But let's try, just for a second. Let's test. So, turning it on. It's just clicking. The HUD is not spinning up, and it's not starting at all. The postcard, as you can see here, is not up and running. We're still having some issues down there. So let me turn off the power, like this. There we go. If I find our CPU card, we need to remember it needs to go into slot number 3. Very important, or else everything will more or less blow up. So let's just hook it in. The only thing I want to see is that the postcard reacts with all the lightings, I'm assuming, and the HUD should spin up because the power supply should now get a notification from the CPU card via the bus that it can turn on everything. So if the card is working, right? So let me try that. So all is just turning it on over here, and let's see. Is it in the shot? I think so, right? Now I hear the HUD is spinning up. The rails are up and running. The postcode shouldn't be working because there's nothing in here. So it says 00 up here. But everything should actually be working. So let me turn it off. Should we put in a video graphics card and see if it spins up? No, let's not do that. Let me just put everything in the casing, and then we'll see how far this computer is spinning up. It seems to be working. So I will say give you 1 thumbs up right now. Hopefully we'll end up with 2, right? I think we're ready for testing. So I hooked everything up. The hard disk controller multi-card is in, the video graphics card, the VGA is in, the processor card, obviously the backplane card is in, the floppy disk drive is connected, the hard disk is put up, and all the mountings is done. I haven't put in this one, which is the serial port, and this one, which is the network, the coax card. I haven't plugged those 2 in. I just want to see if it actually turns on. So, yeah, let's try, right? If it works, which I think it does, we probably have some difficulties with the monitor because there's no BIOS setting, so it will most likely go in 40 columns. We have something on the screen. That's amazing. 4 megabytes. The BIOS is 1.09. Everything passes. Hold on, no, floppy disk not present. What was that? Or was that? That was too quick. But nevertheless, it boots into the BIOS settings, so we don't need the disk for that. Let me Control-Alt-Delete on the keyboard just for a second. I just want to see if I can see what's going on the screen. Fixed disk not present, floppy disk is present. Okay, fine, fair enough. Okay, so let's turn it off. And let me put the casing in. It's over there. So let me put the casing back on it, and let's have a, let's turn it on, and I'll move the camera a little bit closer. Well, I guess it's time to try again, right? Turning on the power over here, and let's see. So we have to go into the BIOS, obviously, and this is the BIOS I think we have seen before, so one for USA and so on and so forth. Just want to mention one thing. I'm not showing you the cabinet, but this is the picture I took, and I just want to say on the bottom of the casing, you can see it's a floppy disk drive, and there's one hard disk, and it's type 36. So we need somewhere to put that in here. So let's do 1 and F1. And I have no idea what time it is. 1200, there we go. F2, I have no idea, 20, oh, what? Oh, that's month, I see. So, I don't know, 02, 02, 2022. F3 for hard disk, and I said 36. Can I write the number? No, I need to do what? I need to use space. Sorry, I don't think you can see the keyboard, but I'm using space to do it. This should, according to the script, be 36, which gives me 40 megabytes. F4 for FDU. I must assume this is a 1.44. Video should be okay, 800 by 20, and the memory is okay. There is no co-processor. So we need to save stuff. How do we do that? Escape. This is where we effed up previously, where I pressed escape and it didn't store it because it actually wanted me to confirm, but it doesn't. So should we just say, I think we should maybe, there we go, because I went in on all of them, all F1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then confirm popped up, so now I can say enter. I need to remember that. I don't know whether this is not going to 40. So it seems that the fixed disk, the hard disk, that is not working. So we need to go into the setup. Yeah, let's try again. Let's give it a try. Let's see if it passes into the setup. And we're back in the BIOS. Let me just briefly say that I can hear that the hard disk is actually spinning up, spinning down. There you go. So it is actually spinning, so I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, doesn't see the hard disk. So this is gonna take a while for me to figure that out. Let me just briefly go in here and say, what am I supposed to be saying? Enhanced? It's VGA? I don't know. Need to dig into the actual hard disk to see what I can select there. So let me see if I can look up the hard disk. Give me a second. So the Google manual is stating that it's called our CP3047. It's a 40 megabyte, 12-19 cylinder, 2 here, 512 there, and 1 over there. T is the heads, and Z is the number of disk sectors, and obviously this is the interleave factor. So, and I also looked up in the other manual for Olivetti, stating the same one, stating it's type 36. So, let me do that once again, and let me focus to see if I, it is 36, okay? So enter to confirm, that's it. If this doesn't work, then the hard disk is broken. Now at least I have 80 columns, sorry. And the hard disk light is not spinning up, nothing. So that's not nice, but hey ho, that's how it is, right? Let's put in a boot disk just to see if we eventually get the drive up and running then. Let's do that. And that doesn't seem to work either. So bummer. Well, so brief status. I've tested stuff regarding the floppy disk drive, which is not working. I was curious why it's blinking, and it was kind of like seeking but didn't really work. So what I did, I took a cable, hooked it to the floppy disk controller up here, took another floppy disk drive that I know is working, connected it up, put power on it, started the machine, put in a boot disk, everything was working. So, fault finding number one, this is working. So what I want to try now, as you can see, I've unmounted this, and I want to try to put this one in. I'm going to lubricate the connector a tiny bit up here, like this. And then let me hook this one up again. Like this, and then let's try and turn it on. I think it should work. Let me find the boot disk, which we have over here. Yes. And just in case it's not giving good contact, it should be doing that. This is what we can do now. So let's turn it on. And let me move the screen a little bit in, and let's see if we all can see everything on the screen. Like this. And it's counting. Let's just wait for that. I just want to say that I also, after I tested this drive, I had this cable in, and I hooked that cable directly into that one, and then it was working. So I hear this clicking, and it's starting up. Everything is working. Thumbs up. So the fault was the connection up here. So let me mount this back, and let's have a talk about the hard disk. So I have also tested the hard disk drive. I have a spare one. Sadly, the spare one was also broken. This is sadly also broken. As you heard, the seek mechanism wasn't working. It's like this hard disk was spinning up and down. I tested both of them on another computer, and it's not working. I don't own any more hard disks at the moment, so I'm not gonna put in another hard disk in it. The goal is to put in a compact flash card instead of eventually. So with all of this now, I think it's time to finally screw in the last screws that I have in the different kinds of bags. And let me just do that, clean up a little bit, and hopefully when I've cleaned up, everything is assembled again, all the bags will be empty, and then let's wrap everything up, right? It's all together again, and thanks to this one, the floppy disk drive is working. Well, it wasn't the floppy disk drive as you saw, it was a small card connected to the cable that needed some lubrication, and then it was working, as we can see now. Left are all my OCD bags, labeling with different kinds of screws in this case for the whole cabinet, and I'm left with only one bag with 4 screws in it. This bag is labeled hard disk due to the fact that the hard disk is not in it anymore as it's broken. The hard disk was screwed with 4 screws on the side, so these are the 4 screws for that. Besides that, nothing that I forgot to screw in, everything is okay. I think the idea of this type of computer, so we're talking about the M290 and this M300. The idea of having a CPU on a card, the idea was good, but also a little bit crazy because the 290, which is the 286, that's a 16-bit bus. This M300 has a 386 SX, which is also 16-bit bus, although the CPU itself is 32-bit. That means you cannot get further with this setup because it depends on this 16-bit bus that's in the computer. So I think those 2 models are the only 2 models that was ever produced doing this, but I could be wrong. And please, if I am, please make some comments down below in the comments so I can see and maybe find those computers and we can have a look at these also. All in all, I love the design of this computer. It reminds me so much about the Olivetti M300, as you can see, and you know I love that one, right? As you saw, also the hard disk was broken, and I don't have a spare hard disk that fits what I can select in the BIOS settings for now. I sadly don't have a compact flash card that I can put in as an extension for a hard disk instead of currently. I'm out of those, and they are not cheap, but they're okay. So I want to find, sorry for my nose, I want to find one. And then I want to put that in and see if this works. Then I don't need to go hunting for a hard disk that eventually, no matter what, will die. So that's the future for this. But besides that, nice computer. We could expand it if we wanted to. One thing, the CPU card, it holds 4 megabytes, and you cannot put more memory on the CPU card. But you could have bought an specific expansion card with memory on it where you could have put 8 megabytes, up to 8 megabytes. So you could have had a total of 12 megabytes on this system. I think that's what I need to say about the computer. I like it, and I hope you enjoyed working or looking at this one. And if you do, please give me, and please do subscribe, all the YouTube stuff, Thank you for now. My name is Taibo, and I hope to see you soon again. And goodbye.